Welcome back. We have a couple folks from the Orange County Fire Authority today. One, of course, you know, Steve Concialdi. Nice to see you here, the Public Information Officer. And Kristina Hamm, and you are the Community Relations and Education Supervisor.
That is correct.
That's a big title.
It's a mouthful.
Nice to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you brought along some smoke alarms, and obviously this is something that you're gonna cover because it is amazing. We saw recently how people still don't have smoke alarms. They're operating ones.
Right. And
what you folks did was work with other community members and have a program you put out. You work with, is it Kitty or Kid? I always forget, Kidda. And they work with you folks a lot in getting out these smoke alarms to folks. But
yeah, they donated 5,000 this year. They've donated the last couple of years too. It's
they're a great company to do that. It's really tragic, and we're going to talk about two different things. We'll get to the other in a little bit. In both cases, these things are preventable. Some fires may not be totally preventable, but the safety issue is, right?
correct. If you have a working smoke alarm in your home, then you should be alerted of any type of fire and have the opportunity to evacuate the home in a speedy manner. Yeah,
and they're so important. They're inexpensive and they're easy to put up, but Steve, you guys can go out, you can help people. I'm sure anyone, no matter what city they live in that you folks service or area, someone buys a smoke alarm and calls you guys, you know, I got a couple of these, I'm not able to put them up myself, can I get some help? You're going to help them.
Right, if your residents call Orange County Fire Authority, we will come help. This is a nice lady right here, 90 years old.
Yeah.
This was in Seal Beach, and we went out there and installed a smoke alarm, you know, in the hallway, and then one in every bedroom for her. And she, look how she was smiling, and it's just neat to see. So any of your residents, just call us, and we'll gladly come.
Now, what is the CERT team here?
Well, in the La Zanja neighborhood in San Juan, we had that triple fatal fire on January 20th. Very devastating. And so Kristina was one of the organizers of this event where KID had donated 5,000 smoke alarms last October. And with a number of organizations, with Orange County Fire Authority, the Sheriff's Department, American Red Cross, San Juan CERT groups, and these are basically community members.
Okay.
And as well as people from Mission Basilica Church, Saddleback Church, Boys and Girls Club of San Juan, and others. There was close to 150 volunteers that day, and it was just recently, February 21st. And they spent all day going in, and we went to about 400 condos.
Wow.
And installed close to 700 smoke alarms, which was amazing.
Yeah, very nice. And, you know, again, if you need some help getting, even obtaining one of these or putting them up, they can help you out. These are inexpensive, I think under $20 for something like this. This is exactly what I have at home, in that these newer ones have the 10-year lithium battery, and it is great. You don't have to worry about putting a battery in every 6 months. We have, I think we have 3 of these. We also have a hardwired one as well. And one thing that I like to suggest is, if you get one of these or any smoke alarm, date it when you need to change the battery. What I actually do on these is I put a sticker on here or write on them, and I put the end date on there. Now, of course, for these, we're talking, you know, in 2025 or something like that. But I put that on there so I can look up at it and I go, okay, I know this is still good. And then even the battery operated, the ones you have to change, again, change them when the time changes.
Great thing for us to tell our volunteers too.
Well, and you should also check them every month to make sure they're still working.
Yes, exactly. They're testers on here.
Right.
But it's so easy to obtain one of these, and if you need help, you can see help is there, right?
Right. And we can also provide education. So if you need help with a home evacuation plan, or if you'd like more information about something kind of related to this, like carbon monoxide poisoning, we can help with that as well.
That is great. Yeah, we have one of those carbon monoxide things as well.
And they're required now.
Yes.
1 per floor.
Really?
In every home.
Very good.
That's the new law.
Right.
And when I got mine, I think it was a Kidda brand as well. you have to pay attention about where to put it, how high you need it. They're all might be a little bit different, and we have ours upstairs, and it's so many feet up off the ground.
For the carbon monoxide.
For the carbon monoxide,
The smoke alarm, it could be on the wall or on the ceiling, but like Kristina said, somewhere where you could get to it and you could check it each month. Just by pushing the button, it goes off and you know it's still working.
Yeah, exactly. Again, you can see how you can find these anywhere. Other brands as well, right? All the brands that are sold, they have to meet a certain level, am I right?
And then soon they'll all have to be this like never replace battery.
Yeah.
So that's will be the new standard eventually.
Yeah, and that's good because it's not like they cost any more for that style, and great. All right, you wanted, one of the things that you sent me was about a successful full cardiac arrest, and this was where someone was saved at the Sierra Recreation and Fitness Center in Mission Viejo, and it was done by the actions of some bystanders, but they had an AED unit, is right?
So this was another successful save. This was at the Sierra Rec Center and Fitness Center in Mission Viejo, and there was a 51-year-old gentleman in very good shape on the treadmill. All of a sudden he collapsed, and there was a off-duty nurse there that had just finished a boot class, and she walked out, saw him, she removed him from the treadmill because he was still on the side of the treadmill, and there was a former Navy corpsman that was working there, and so they immediately realized he was in distress, he wasn't breathing, he had no pulse, so the nurse ran and grabbed the AED off the wall, and Jose, the former Navy corpsman, he started CPR immediately. They shocked him 2 times with the AED, and then they continued CPR, and within about 30 seconds to a minute, right before our firefighter paramedics arrived, he started breathing again.
Wow.
And I went and saw him the very next day, and he's doing great. He was so thankful to Nora and Jose and to the firefighter paramedics, and he's alive today because of bystander CPR, quickly calling 911, and having an AED close by. So hopefully, I think in your community center you have one.
Well, they're going through some discussions about that right now. So we'll see where that goes, because they were, I think it might take another couple months to kind of fish out, and you know, maybe I think they may have somebody like you there to speak to them about it sometime.
It's the best thing to have.
This was a guy who's obviously in fairly good shape,
in good
right?
shape,
and sometimes you just don't know.
Right.
And it's great that he is alive. Good news.
Yeah,
that's
very
good
good
news. We have some photos here of a structure fire, a house, I believe, or is it a condo?
No, this was a house.
Okay, in Aliso.
This was in Aliso Viejo, and these. This was a townhome.
Okay.
And but it was. No, I'm sorry. This one, I sent you this. No, this was a single-family dwelling on Eagle Point in Aliso Viejo, 2-story home, and the home was being sold, and there was just an electrical malfunction in the wall. So this was one of those things is that it could not have been prevented.
Wow.
The neighbors noticed smoke, and they called 911 right away. But this goes to the fact of when our investigators are outstanding. In fact, we're going to try to have one come on next month.
They're nice to have on.
A lot of times when wires are crimped, that's why we never recommend wires going through doorways or having furniture on it.
Right.
So they believe one of the wires in that wall was crimped, and it creates a lot of heat.
Okay.
Eventually it gets so hot, and then it builds up enough heat, and it'll burn through, and it'll catch insulation on fire or something combustible. So that's what they believe happened in this fire.
But again, something like this, the homeowners, there's no way of knowing this. This was how the home was built or whatever. And
and so they want to make sure. That's why when you're screwing in things or you're nailing things in, to be careful. Have a professional. If you do electrical work, if you do an add-on, have an electrician do it, because they make sure they run the Romex carefully. They're not nailing through stuff, or they take their time on that. So hire a professional if you're going to do it in addition, so forth.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I saw something just, you know, kind of going with that. I'm a big fan of watching This Old House, and they were showing this recent one they're doing. They are purposely bringing in the inspectors to come in at each step to show how it's done.
Right.
and I guess there are these fairly new type of covers that with wires are going through the studs and or plumbing, they have now metal plates that wrap around, so if somebody were to drill into that, they couldn't go any further. And this is something that's fairly new that they're starting to put in.
Because we've had so many fires like this.
Yeah.
And we keep outstanding stats, and they become national stats, and eventually things are changed like that.
Yeah, and it's a very simple thing on new construction to do. Okay, we're going to turn back to something that's quite tragic, and you've talked about this many times before, the amount of drownings that happen in Orange County, and they went up last year, and they're preventable for a variety of reasons. You've had 4 drowning calls, 3 of those fatal so far this year. We're going to focus on one that got some kind of attention here. It was all over the news about a young man, Anthony Parnell. And am I right that he's from Las Vegas? Is the whole family from there? Or
right, they were here at one time. They've lived back in Las Vegas. In fact, his parents were married 9 years ago. It's a blended family, a wonderful family. But they were married 9 years ago, and Anthony walked his mom down just behind Las Brisas at the gazebo there in Laguna Beach. Just wonderful when he was 9 years old. So they have ties to Laguna Beach. They love Laguna Beach. And Anthony is 18, and he came to Southern California with 3 of his friends. And they were in an area just south of Thousand Steps
Yeah,
Beach.
we have this here. This is a little hard to see. This was taken with a phone.
Right.
But it really signifies that.
See how it's sucking down?
Yes, and this is kind of where it happened?
Right. So basically, they were on Thousand Steps Beach, and there's a social media craze going with a lot of teenagers and young adults in the caves and south of the caves where people are walking on this. The problem is on high tide and heavy, it was a heavy surf advisory day, he got knocked off his feet, and unfortunately he fell into a crevice.
Yes.
And he wasn't able to get out.
Yeah.
And he drowned there. And so it was unfortunate that 24 years ago in that same hole, a 30-year-old female died, June 25th of 1991. And it's very tragic. There are signs that say no trespassing, but in this area there are these man-made pools.
Right, they were made years ago.
Right,
yes,
in the 40s, and so it's a draw right now, but it's extremely dangerous, especially in high tide or the waves are coming up. And so the OC lifeguards are asking people to stay out of that area. So we've had 2 fatal drownings, and other people have been swept off their feet and injured. These are rocks; they're slippery, but it was just devastating. And I was able to meet the family. They were here for about a week, and it's just tragic.
Yeah, a young man who was 18, and I believe he was going to be going into the service soon, right?
In June. He's got 2 older brothers that are in the service. He's a football player. There's 6 kids in the family. Yeah, and
it's like you said, it's a blended family, and we just a few minutes ago showed some pictures. Just sad, very, very sad. And here's some. Obviously, this was him when he was probably like 3 or 4 years old.
This is with his aunt. This is with his aunt here. This is all of them here, and his nieces there. But it's just tragic because we had 9 fatal beach drownings last year. So a total of 85 drownings. 41 of those were fatal, but 9 in the ocean. And it's a stat. All these stats are devastating because they're all preventable. So actually this year when I got the updated stats this morning, we've had 5 since January 1st. 4 of them have been fatal in Orange County this year.
You know what's interesting, Kristina, is normally you would associate drownings with May, June, July, the summer months.
Right.
And of course, we've had very warm weather here, so people have been heading to the beach, they head into the pool. And as we've talked about before, don't swim alone. And that, I don't care what age you're at, you can be the best swimmer in the world, but you can slip, you can go into a cardiac arrest for some reason, even if you're in good shape. Right. If somebody's there with you, you at least have some help there.
Exactly, and that is a good motto to always follow. Never swim alone, always have someone watching you. I know we have swim tags. I don't have any of those with me right now, but we assign those to people to make sure that there's a designated person that's watching whomever is swimming. to be that point person, so they're not distracted by cell phones or anything else. There's so many things in our world today.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, we know that's true with kids. Sadly, it doesn't always play out that way.
Right, but like
your statistics there are remarkable.
I know 2 of the 4 fatals are involving adults over 50 years of age. So it affects the young and it affects the older population as well. And all of these, they were swimming alone. The 2 that were over 50, they were by themselves, either in a spa or a backyard pool. And then something happened. Either they slipped and hit their head, they had some sort of medical condition where they passed out, or they had low blood sugar, something. But when you're alone, you have nobody to help you out. So that's why we always recommend swim with a buddy, have a pal, have somebody with you when you're around the water or in the water. Yeah, and
I can understand the allure of it because people might have a routine in their home pool. I go home every day, I swim laps.
Right.
But nobody else is home at this time. This is the time I can be alone, get what I need done, or maybe just relax by myself. Unfortunately, we see what happens, and you just got to change your lifestyle because being there alone, even in a spa, you could be sitting in there and it lulls you in. Maybe you're not drinking or anything, but it's relaxing. What happens? You can just snooze and
that's what happened. So just in the last 3 years, we've had 135 fatal drownings.
Wow.
And that's way too many.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and all of them I could say, because I have to deal with every single one of them, everyone is preventable. There hasn't been one that has not been preventable.
Yeah. That's too bad.
And we're actually developing and working with some community partners to develop a Orange County Drowning Task Force. So we will be identifying some of these causes and coming up with innovative ways to deal with some of these issues.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. And I see it even on our local pools where I live, our community pools, that there are certain times of the day, certain times of the year especially, the pools are kept heated, but there's nobody else there. There's not a lifeguard. There is most of the time during the summer, obviously. But again, somebody's going out there and going laps or whatever they might do, but no one's there.
Right. But your beach club, after that fatal drowning on July 4th, 2013, your beach club now has lifeguards.
Yes.
Which is outstanding.
Yeah.
And they had lifeguards then, but they've expanded that.
They did. All our pools, this is up in RSM, all the lifeguard staff is, before they were kind of pool monitors type thing. Now they are 100% lifeguards. And I've seen the difference. It's a total difference the way they focus. But there are times during the day in the other pools, not the beach club, that the pools are open till 10 o'clock at night and there's no lifeguard on duty. And maybe that should be changed, and we'll see about that. But they certainly took the steps necessary.
Right. Because kids are drawn to the water.
Yeah.
They don't see the danger. Water to them, they've grown up in a bathtub or with their parents, so it's fun to them.
It is.
But there isn't a significant danger when they're by themselves and parents aren't within arm's length, especially for the smaller children.
Yeah, well, hopefully those statistics will go down this year. Good to meet you.
Yes,
I'm sure we'll see you on the show a lot more.
I hope so.
And how long have you been doing this position now?
Just 2 months.
Just 2 months? All right.
So thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Always good to see you.
Thank you, Ken.
And thanks for bringing all this. We'll be right back in just a moment.